welcome to this on season 6 finale, where we discuss our top 5 and bottom 5 of season 6. And I've seen some shit. Chris Lorenz.
This is going to hit harder than Will Smith at the Oscars. I'm Brian.
I'm just out here trying to make pets feel better day in, day out. This is Noah Singer.
I'm too old for this shit. This is Max.
So if this is the first time you listen to us, we're going to go over our top 5, bottom 5 of the season. But last week we watched My Big Fat American Gypsy Wedding, and we had a poll on Twitter, and you guys thought it was a top third show. So this week, let us know what you thought your top 5 and bottom 5 show of the season were on Twitter at Hoop of the Sun. So now that we'll get into it, we do this a little differently than most shows. So we've all submitted our top 5 and bottom 5. And thanks to Rob, former host, and VJ, which is co-host sometimes, they collated the list for us. So we're gonna say, like, if Brian has a show at number 1 and I have it at number 5, we're gonna talk about it for Brian's number 1 and not my number 5. So we're gonna do the top shows or bottom shows first, then the top shows, and we'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But we'll talk about it at the peak. You'll see it. It'll work out. Don't worry about it if you didn't get it. So let's talk about our bottom shows. Noah, what is your 5th worst show of season 6?
5th worst show for me is Sexy Beasts. So some of you may not recall, this was a long season. I think that put that out there. It went over more than a year, calendar days. Sexy Beasts, dating show with a lot of face paint, so you can't really tell maybe what they look like, maybe they don't look like. The paint was cool, but it just wasn't that interesting. Like, there was so much hype built around the show, and it really just it failed to deliver. So best of the worst.
I agree with you, Noah. I think that show had amazing face paint and the most boring content ever. So pretty bad show.
Yeah.
Max, what was your 5th worst show?
I'm glad you came to me because I have sort of a cousin of Sexy Beasts. It's called Love in the Jungle.
That was also my 5th worst show. High five.
Great choice, Chris.
Oh.
So for those that don't know, this show is on Discovery Plus, and it's like, what if people were dating in the jungle, but also none of them could talk? So this guy, he's the bee because he's a good worker. And when he's flirting with people, all he can say is buzz, 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 buzz. The show was garbage. It barely even played with concepts.
It was so bad.
Bottom shit show.
It was terrible. I get the premise. You're going to have these people, they're not going to talk, and you're going to have a voiceover kind of make fun of them the whole time. Except the voiceover wasn't funny. It was boring. No one wants to watch people not say anything. This isn't the silent era. Garbage show.
Yeah, reality TV is meant for sci TV. You cannot have no sound.
You're telling me it's not a visual format?
If it was a podcast, I'd be all in.
That would
all right.
be insane.
So Noah, what is your 4th worst show?
All right, so 4th worst for me is Prisoner of Love. Everyone remember this one where people go to date people in jail.
It was a matchmaker. With setting people up with people in jail. Yeah.
What a job.
Yeah. It felt a bit exploitative, as you can imagine. This season's a little weird. This show of itself is not wow, I can't watch this. It's just the whole basis of it kind of threw me off. So it deserved to be in the bottom, but my worst shows are definitely more cringy.
So I have a contrasting opinion to exploitive. In general, prisons, just not really a rehabilitation, but a punishment. And so this is helping somebody get back to normal life. I kind of support that.
I think that, did you watch the show, Brian? I don't remember if you were on the show.
Yeah, I watched that.
I think the problem with the show mainly was all the people that were dating these people were her friends.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it wasn't random people. It wasn't a casting department picking these people. It was her and her friends felt very exploitative to her friends,
Oh,
and not necessarily maybe the prisoners so much. Like,
okay.
prisoners got a lot of time to send letters, like they're not doing anything, whatever. But
Yeah,
Okay.
she would really try to like cajole her friends and to be like, no, look at like his positive traits. Wasn't that bad of a crime? Like, he'll be out in 8 months. Don't worry about it.
yeah,
Man, it's just a worse blind date. It's fine. I totally forgot about that piece of it.
I mean, if you're George Costanza, you'd love it. You know where she is. She's not cheating. You're good to go.
You don't know that though.
Max, what is your fourth worst show?
So I want to preface this by saying I'm really upset it's only my fourth worst show because it got a lot of hate from me this whole season. With that clue, does anybody think they know what it is?
No, because it's not, I don't think it's on my list.
I got
I'm gonna
nothing.
say Hype House.
No, I actually thought Hype House was okay. No, my fourth worst show is It Cake?
Oh,
Is It
Mm.
Cake? The major problem with this show is you can cheat on it and nobody calls it out. And they just kind of gloss over it. You have to be really eagle-eyed to catch that there's cheating.
Explain to the audience what happened, Max, because I
Okay.
don't know if everyone's listening to that pod, which you guys should go listen to, but explain the cheating.
Okay, here's the cheating. So the core of the show is there are like 6 hamburgers on display, and one of them is a cake, and the judges have to guess which one's the cake. So one of the contestants, has 6 hot dogs or no, 6 tacos on the stage, and one of them's a cake. But then they make one of the real tacos look fake by putting cake pieces on it, which is never mentioned as a thing you can do in the show. And obviously, the chefs are going to pick the one that has cake on it, but it's just a
Like
fucking
it
garbage
looked
show.
really bad. Like they put fake tomatoes on.
Yeah,
So it was like very
jelly.
obvious it was the top. Like they were like, even when they judged it, they were like, man, those tomatoes look fake. And they picked that one. And it was
Right.
just like, it was really bad. I agree.
It's such a strange thing. So, we watched the whole season of that show here because it's like right when the babies were here, and it was like the most easy show to like dip in and out. And it's the only time in the season that they did any shenanigans like that. Like they mentioned it really quickly in episode 2, and then basically moved on. So unclear if like the producers like, yo, cut this out, but it's weird they didn't address it more properly in the show.
It's weird that they showed that at all. I feel like if they didn't show the guy saying he was putting the tomatoes in, like, it'd be fine. Listen to our podcast about it. It was good. That's a good worst show, Max. So
Thank you.
Brian,
We're gonna
What-
talk about that later.
well, what is your third worst
Oh.
show?
Ooh, my third worst show was Welcome to Plathville. The religious cult just struck me such a wrong way. It reminded me of that other show. Shoot, I don't even want to bring it up. No. It was bad. I
Chris
really
Lee?
hated
The
everybody in it.
polygamy show?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
The sister wives?
everybody was a fucking asshole just because, oh, we want you to date so and so and we want you to follow our rules. No, fuck off. Let people live their life.
It's fair. It's not a very good show.
I think
third-
this is one I missed.
Yeah,
Good.
it was. I think it was might have been just me and Brian. It was. I agree, the religious cult was weird, but it was somewhat interesting. Like I feel like cults are always kind of interesting when you shouldn't give them attention. There's a dichotomy.
Yeah, if they were in a museum, I'd be okay with that though.
All right,
Yeah.
my third worst show is the Celebrity Dating Game.
Ooh, I had that my number 5.
It's
Oh.
awful. 42 minutes to watch 2 people ask 3 other people questions that are the most boring, rote, unimaginable things you've ever seen in your life. I wanted to kill myself while watching the show. It was awful. One of the worst shows, hands down. Can't stand it.
Do you remember which celebrities were on?
No, I'm
No.
trying to block
Was it
this
like
out of my
absolute
mind.
Zoe
nobodies?
Deschanel? Oh, sorry, what?
Was it nobodies or no? It was Zooey Deschanel.
Yeah,
No,
and then
Zoe Deschanel
Michael
was the
Bolton, I
host of
think.
the show,
Yeah, they were the hosts. He's asking
and
who the
Michael
people.
Bolton was like
Oh.
the musical accompaniment during it.
yeah, they were nothing burgers though. Like the contestants were nothing burgers. It was not even a celebrity dating game. It was like
One of them was a celebrity, I thought.
wait, pause. Stuff is happening.
I don't know. He just turned his thing off, his video off.
I'm fine. Don't worry about me.
Yeah, ignore that. There was definitely one like Bachelorette winner or something, not almost winner or something. It was, I don't remember the other one was. Doesn't matter. It's awful.
They had some better episodes. Like they had David Keckner on, like in later episodes. But for our episode, we had Chris's favorite person, Nicole Byer.
I'm sorry. Is this insinuating you watched more than one episode?
No, I'm just looking at
Clearly,
Google.
somebody was like,
I'm looking at
Okay.
Google right now. Nicole Byer, and then they had a reality personality, Hannah Brown. But the rest of the season, like, it's like a lot of people that were like A-listers, like Carmen Electra, Taye Diggs, Iggy Azalea, Chris Kattan, like reasonable names.
Wait,
What?
so then they did have celebrities on there. Okay.
hold on. We're not redeeming the show.
No.
It's still 40 minutes for two people. It's so boring. They don't even go on a date. It's just like, oh, I pick you. Bye.
Okay.
Like,
look,
there's no, it's awful.
Celebrity dating game was always like that, though.
I know. I don't care. I'm just saying this is the third worst show I've seen this season.
It was bad. Like,
Yeah.
It has a 2.8 on IMDb.
It's terrible. Let's do our second worst show. Max, what is your second worst show?
I feel good about this being my second worst. It was Judge Steve Harvey.
I also had this as my second worst show.
Wow,
Me too.
Chris,
I
feel
said,
like,
yeah.
wow, I feel like we're all really in sync here.
Damn. I was
about
went
to
rogue
say,
with
I'm
that.
shocked
I've been
no
putting that in
one's
my
mentioned
bottom
it
five.
yet.
I'm really curious if we share our most bottom.
I
Wait,
imagine,
wait.
I'm sure a lot of us do, to be honest. Max,
I've talked a lot already, so tell me about Judge Steve Harvey, because there's not that much to say.
think about a judge that like literally has no idea what they're doing, has no qualifications to judge people about the most asinine thing you've ever seen, and just like you like the guy, but it's so stupid, and I just like it was unwatchable.
I thought you were describing Clarence Thomas until you said I like the guy.
Well, you know, he can be funny. Steve Harvey can be funny, but
Yes.
you really have to take clips of Steve Harvey and he's funny. You can't just he's no qualifications to be a judge. He looks so lost. He was like, "You asking me between these two things?" Like, yeah, this is your show. You're judge. Fucking answer the question. And like, it just mystifies me, like what was going on behind the scenes for the show, because he did not seem prepared for this.
I think that's the case
But
with
also,
a lot
like-
of judges, though. Like, they don't have the qualifications for it. I think some of them do, but
I don't care if you have the qualifications. Act like you have the qualifications.
oh yeah, fair.
Ignoring, the legal bona fides these guys have, the cases they picked for these shows were so boring. It's like, yeah, this is my neighbor. I invited her to a party, and we never hung out ever again, or some shit. I
The
don't
tree
know.
fell in the yard.
A tree fell on my yard.
And then
Yeah,
the
that
other
was
one was
silly.
the sister took the funeral money to get plastic surgery.
Okay, that one was actually pretty good, but you had to suffer through fighting about when a tree fell for 20 minutes. It was so bad.
It was a bad show. Brian, what was your second worst show?
Mine was Awesomeness TV's Next Influencer.
That was my fourth worst show.
That was my third.
I remember just like watching those challenges and just like, this is a giant advertisement for these people, and they're still fucking boring. Why would I ever go seek you out on social media?
This was a weird show because it was like, hey, invite all these influencers to the house. We'll have like fun challenges. And like the challenge was, can you like use a thing on a pool and come back? And it was just it was a terrible challenge. Then the next thing was like icebreakers between these people. And you're like, oh my God, what is going on in this show? It was very questionable. It was a bad show. Noah, do you have anything to say about the show?
I think it's interesting because we did Hype House, we did the D'Amelio show this year. we went into our influencers niche, and there's opportunity for these shows, but this was just nobody wants to see them to trying to be influencers, like trying to work and outwork each other, especially when they're bad. I think if they were good, it might have been better, but they're all pretty bad.
Yeah, I think the dichotomy between some of those shows made this show seem even worse.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling I know what most of the bottom shows are here. So I'll just say it. Alter Ego is the worst show of the season.
Yes.
And I don't even think there's any room to say anything else. I think it's terrible. Anyone else have a different?
I do actually.
Okay. All right. So we'll talk about Alter Ego. It's in the Masked Singer universe. It is like they have a guy and he sings, but then they like put his face on a virtual avatar so you can, get through your stage fright. And the animations here were terrible. The singing was fine, but like I just it's not a show I particularly like. And like for a show about the animations, they were so bad, and it was clear the audience and the judges weren't actually seeing anything, and it was very confusing, awful. Anything Masked Singer universe is definitely a contender for bottom 5, and they've reached the bottom this time. So congratulations, Masked Singer.
The show pretends that everybody can see this hologram on stage that you at home can see, but there is no hologram. They are literally looking at TVs on the side of the studio. It looks so ridiculous.
This was a show that I felt like they spliced in COVID audience scenes. Like they took it from other shows. It's like, oh yeah.
Oh, and can't forget that like they leaned so hard into the sob story experience. Like, good that you're supporting other people, but come on, I get enough of this.
And then Max, you have a different bottom show?
I do. It's called Escape the Undertaker.
Oh, that was bad.
I kind of disqualified the show because it wasn't really a reality show, but yeah, it was pretty bad.
So this is one of these. What's the big Netflix Black Mirror one?
It's a choose your own adventure Netflix thing.
Yeah,
Balderdash, right?
I mean, you had You vs.
Something
Wild,
like that.
something like that.
But in any case, yeah, this is an interactive Netflix show set in the WWE cinematic universe, following the wrestling team New Day as they battle the Undertaker, who owns a haunted house. It was no fun whatsoever, and stuff would just happen to you for no reason. And if you don't care about wrestling, why the fuck are you watching this?
Yeah, I don't know why Netflix categorized it as a reality show, so we watched it, but it was certainly not a reality show. We shouldn't have watched it. And per Max's rating here, it is awful. It was really bad.
But to be clear, Alter Ego was my number 3.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Noah, did you have a different worst show?
I do. Someone else has to have this. Growing Belushi.
I had it on there.
It was almost there. Honorary mention.
Yeah, so for catching it up, this is about Jim Belushi starting a marijuana business. It could have good content. Like they even got Guy Fieri on to come by. But the production was just so bad. They try to take like 10 minutes of content and stretch it out to 40 minutes. They script it in a way that is too obvious. There is something there, but they execute it on so poorly. Bottom of the bottom.
Yeah, it's like just kind of like watching a guy do his business, which was Jim Belushi, and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to watch him do his business," and it was just like one of the most scripted, boring business kind of shows that we've seen. So yeah, it was bad. Didn't make.
Who's the buddy that shows up?
Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah,
he couldn't even save the show, which is crazy.
He had a great jingle though.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, that was good.
So Rob has sent me some stats here. So there's shows that had unanimous bottom thirds. So some of these didn't make anyone's bottom 5. So it's kind of interesting. First, we got Celebrity Dating Game that made the bottom 5. Hard Knocks did not make anyone's bottom 5.
I think we just had a bad season. Like, I think everybody else raving about it. I
think it's more like early seasons were interesting, and now they're not anymore.
Also fine, but at the same time, it just didn't blip on the radar.
I found it boring, but not aggressively boring. So
yeah, for sure. Alter Ego.
Fuck yeah.
Obviously at bottom 5. Naked and Afraid of Love, which I guess gets a shout out here for being terrible. Dating show where everyone's naked, but like they're coupled, and it's like it's not a weird. It's a very weird dating show. Did not work. We have Escape the Undertaker, which we talked about. Bridalplasty, which somewhat surprising. No one made no one's list because the show was very unethical and very weird to see people try to get like plastic surgery and win plastic surgery and sob over the fact that they don't have plastic surgery. So like ethically wise, I think the show is in the bottom 5, but like entertainment wise, it was like certainly more entertaining than some of these other ones. So then we also have Judge Steve Harvey, Awesome TV's Next Influencer, Growing Belushi, Domino Masters, which we didn't talk about. But
that was
I forgot about how shitty that was.
Yeah, it's one of those shows just like you're bad, and it's almost just forgettable bad. Like there was interesting parts, but mostly bad. The Ultimatum, Marry or Move On, which I think that was my 6th worst. Like such a terrible reality show from Netflix about taking couples and splitting them up, but then they date within their couples. It was just the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And then our last unanimous bottom was 19 and Counting, which was
a lot of kids
that we didn't get to know. I think that was our main issue. I don't really remember that show that much. Probably just forget
that show is not still on the air, is it?
No, it was canceled because somebody got arrested.
No, one of the kids was like himself a child molester or something.
Yeah, but then there was a spinoff, and then that got canceled. So listen to the pod. I believe we talked about it. Anything else anyone has to say about our worst rankings?
I'm surprised our bottom rankings were very consistent given how shitty this season was, like show wise, not like podcast wise, but show wise.
I guess this might be the time to talk about a worst of the worst. So throughout the season 1, our worst of the worst was Celebrity Apprentice. Season 2 is You the Jury, which tweet at me if you've ever heard of that show, because I guarantee you haven't. Season 3 was Crisley Knows Best. Season 4 was I Get That a Lot. Season 5 was I Can See Your Voice. And now this season, our worst of the worst, I believe, is Alter Ego. We had 3 people pick it as their worst show. Is there any argument against not putting Alter Ego as their worst show this season?
I have no argument. I do think there's I Can See Your Voice is like the opposite of Alter Ego.
Well, it's still in the Masked Singer universe, so this is like really getting into a bottom.
Yeah, I was just saying season 6, our worst show is Alter Ego. That's for the history books. Put it in the books. That's what it is. Now, between all those shows, which one is the worst? And I don't think Alter Ego is the worst, because I think Crisley Knows Best is worse. I think I Can See Your Voice is worse, and I think Celebrity Apprentice is worse. So, Brian, what are your thoughts on what do you think the worst of those 6 shows is?
Celebrity Apprentice by far. I mean, I just want to throw in the Masked Singer universe as a contender for this, just because we have 2 shows in that now. But aside from that, yeah, I can't put Alter Ego as like one of the worst. I will say Bring Back You the Jury, please.
I think at some point we should start rating cinematic universes.
There's definitely a point to that, because there's channels like will have like the same type of thing, or people within it. Like Netflix has one, MTV has one. We can rate those universes.
So next season we should probably go through like networks and see what networks have been rated overall by people. That could be good.
Ooh.
So Celebrity Apprentice is your vote. Max, what do you think of the worst of those 6 shows is?
I feel like the previous times we've asked this, I've probably said otherwise, but the one my heart jumps to is Celebrity Apprentice. I Can See Your Voice is so bad, though. Like, it really stands
I
out.
really
in my
pushed
heart.
hard for I Could See Your Voice last season to be worst of the worst because I think that show is really bad. But
How did that go?
Celebrity Apprentice is still our worst of the worst right now.
I think it's got to be.
Noah, what is your vote?
Yeah, I mean, I can see your voice is a worse show. I have to go back and watch a Celebrity Apprentice at this point, but I think outside of the shows, we can judge for other criteria. So Celebrity Apprentice goes to the bottom.
Okay, we'll keep Celebrity Apprentice as our worst of the worst, mainly because 2016 to 2020, which I've blocked out already. But in that episode we watched, had Donald Trump go on a weird diatribe that made no sense about climate change was a hoax. And I think that is really memorable. It makes it one of the worst of the worst. But I really do think I Can See Your Voice is really bad.
It is a worse show. But
it's really
so
racist.
bad.
It's a lot of bad things.
It's so bad. All right. So now we're talking about the worst. We'll probably get into a little bit. And let's talk about best. So let's talk about 5th best. Brian, what is your 5th best show?
Little John Wants to Do What? Honestly, I just thought it was a fun show, and Little John, as crazy as his ideas were, like people dialed it in. So then like it was still an improvement and still helped people. I'm okay with it. I thought I have watched a couple other episodes. They're still fun.
All right. My 5th best show is Ready to Love, which is a dating game. It's a dating reality show where they took a bunch. It's like on BET, so it's like a bunch of black men and women, and they're in the like late 30s, early 40s, and they just like start dating. And it's just like so refreshing to see that age group date and be really serious about it. And like really just there's no shit happening. There's no bullshit. There's no like let's hook up and move on and create the most drama. It's like, no, we're dating. We're trying to like be in each other's lives. And I think that was really cool. I think that show was really interesting, really good. So it gets 5th best. Max.
It's Max, you go.
Was this the one that was hosted by Steve Harvey's like nephew?
Yeah. The cousin or something they called him.
Something like that.
Yeah.
He was
Lil Cuz.
he's on Steve Harvey's morning radio show because Steve Harvey never stops working.
Is Steve Harvey on that, or is that just the little cuz?
No, it's his show. Steve Harvey does a daily radio show. It's nuts. Like the guy just is nonstop.
Noah, do we have to start ranking the Harvey verse?
Oh my
It
God.
there is a Harvey verse.
I mean, we've done a lot of them. We did the celebrity. We did the celebrity dating game, or no, celebrity Family Feud. We did the show.
We did Thunderdome.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to our 4th best. Noah, what is your 4th best show?
My 4th best, no surprises, the D'Amelio Show. I really like the show. I actually finished the season at home. Very entertaining, and the way they did it, they weren't trying to sell Charli D'Amelio and her sister. It's like, no, this stuff can be pretty toxic, and like it can take a beating on you. And it was just nice to see like what I thought was a realistic portrayal.
And my 4th best show was Hype House, which is the other influencer show we watched, which was more of a. That was your 5th? Yeah. It was an interesting look at like the downslide of like a house of like influencers got together, got really big, and now they're on the downfall. And it was a really interesting look into you know, their thoughts and feelings and struggles with like people moving out, like Charlie moving out and other people that are really big moving out, figuring out how they're going to move on with their life. And that was amazing. I thought that was really interesting. I thought the D'Amelio show was good, but like didn't have that gravitas that I think like was the darker side of Hype House that I thought was a little better. But yeah, both shows are really worth watching.
I thought the dark side of D'Amelio show is darker and more raw than Hype House.
Yeah, the Hype House was a little bit in the background, whereas the D'Amelio show, I think, put a little foreground and a little like, I don't know, there was, you know, it was real, but it was a little manufactured to a point. But both are great. Don't take that as a don't watch either. So,
I think Influencer Month had a really surprisingly strong showing
in both top and bottom.
Yeah, as a dichotomy to the bottom show. Max, what was your fourth best show?
Rob wrote it down incorrectly, but I don't think it changes anything. This should not be my fourth best, but it is. It is The Love Trap.
That was a good moment.
Which is, it's only in here for about a 15-second clip that happens in every episode. The Love Trap is a dating show where a guy lives in a castle. There's 20 beautiful women to choose from. Every episode, he chooses 3 women he likes the least and sends them down to the dungeon. And the one he really dislikes the most out of them falls down a trapdoor to die, but not actually die, but they play it up like she dies on the show. She was hilarious. It's an otherwise boring show. It doesn't deserve to be in my top third, but based on the numbers, that's where it is. You gotta trust previous Max.
Find us on our TikTok, Who Put This On podcast. There's a really great TikTok where you just get to see that person fall. Like just that clip. That's all you need to see. That was good. Brian, what is your fourth best show?
I put Snowflake Mountain. I watched a good amount of the season, and it actually felt like these kids were growing.
Wow.
I feel like they came in as like, oh man, these kids are just like so helpless, like they're not going to do anything. And instead, I'm seeing them grow and actually evolve. It feels like a better version of Tool Academy, just because in one instance, yeah, like you're a tool, like you're being an asshole to a lot of other people, and this seems like, yeah, unfortunately, like you were missing something growing up, and then now like you're getting a little bit more exposure to the world.
Yeah,
I really thought someone was going to put them in the bottom.
Yeah, I'm surprised. You did say positive things to me outside the podcast, but that podcast we were not very like positive about that show. So
yeah, I mean, the first episode was definitely not very happy about them being on the show, but then like the second episode showed like, oh yeah, like they were happy about skinning a deer and like making food. They were excited that like they cooked their own dish. So
you got to start from the bottom. So we just saw the bottom. We didn't see them like try to rise. So like,
yeah,
sure, that could be good. Yeah,
it's unfortunately one of the problems that we have with our podcast in general, because we only check out one episode, and so we get a gut check on it. But if you check it out, if we check out a lot more shows, they might be a little bit better.
Yeah. Let's see who is next. Noah, what is your third best show?
Yeah, so I wasn't on this for the pod, so I'm surprised I got panned. But I put Hard Knocks. Just as like HBO running show, like I can't say I'm religious about it, but when I dip in, it's like a cool like inside look into what goes down. So I put it up there, but it also falls a little bit outside the realm of our normal shtick. So it's a weird one.
You said Hard Knocks, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Hard Knock. I just think that it started out strong, and this season's just like wasn't very interesting. Whatever we watched, it was not good. You know, I don't know if you dip in and out and you're like not paying attention. Sure, could be good.
I mean, yeah,
be fine.
You know, yeah.
But the episode we watched wasn't very good, so that's where it ends up. Let's see, Brian, what is your third best show?
Ooh, my third best show is Dr. Pimple Popper, because I like those shows. I'm not grossed out by it like a lot of other people. And I think it's showcasing that if you have something that you don't like about yourself, and you should go get checked out because it could be something serious, and there are ways to help your self-esteem in this way. So I'm very positive on this show. I don't think there's any exploitation in there. I don't think anybody was like upset afterwards. It was just let's change you for what you feel is going to be better for you.
Yeah, I like that show. It's good. So my third best show is Alone the Beast.
Wow.
This was my fifth best.
That was a pretty good show.
So this is like an Alone spinoff where they took 3 people and gave them some meat and put them in the wilderness. And it was just like, I think Alone is a great show. I love seeing people just like struggle. Hey, I don't love watch people struggle. Watching them struggle is interesting, and seeing how they survive and their struggles is really like, I think is really compelling. And the show is good. So it's third best. Should we get to second best shows? We got Max. What is your second best show?
One sec, let me look. Oh, Shaq Versus.
Ooh.
That was fun.
Which is definitely not a reality show, but it kind of is, but definitely not.
It definitely is.
This may be a theme tonight. Anyway, yeah, it's you get to watch Shaquille O'Neal, get revenge on Aaron Carter after 5 years. You get to see him fucking with Charles Barkley on a golf course for 50 minutes. I think we watched like 2 episodes of the show. That's how much fun we had. Is that correct?
I think we did watch 2. I don't.
Yeah, the golf episode was definitely an entire episode.
I feel like there was like 2 things. There was like the hot dog eating contest and then the golf competition in the same episode. But
that's right. You also see Joey Chestnut in there.
Yeah. Nevertheless, though, like that was a good show. It was very positive, and I think it was a reality show because even though it's scripted, a lot of reality shows are. They're just 2 people having fun. It's a funny competition.
We've always, RO's definition was always a producer setup challenge or setup situation and let them like go. Like I don't think it was all. I didn't get a sense it was all unscripted, all scripted.
Yeah,
there's certainly like key parts that were like, just, here, set up the rivalry, and like I don't know if anyone was reading off cue cards or anything. They're just like.
Anyway, I thought the show was great. I probably had a bajillion quips I could have used that episode. Shaquille O'Neal is a real entertainer. Yeah, Shaq Versus.
Noah, what is your second best show?
Legendary. So this show was
what?
The drag queen dancing show.
Oh,
it's so long ago. We did that probably a year ago.
The voguing. Right. It's like this was last Gay Pride Month.
Wow.
Right. But it was cool. Just like, I think they give a really good insight to a culture that was super niche, right? Like underground New York dance scene. Learning about the different houses and just the dancing house was phenomenal. Like dropping to the floor and all that stuff. So yeah, I put it as a top 2.
Brian,
I totally forgot about the show. Yeah, it was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, Brian, what was your second best show?
My Mom, Your Dad.
That was also my second best show. Same page.
Yeah, that was. I have a feeling we're going to be like going up from here.
Yeah, for sure.
This show is generally very positive. Like your kids like wanting to enhance your life, like that's really good family values.
Well, the show was set up as their, single parents were going to go on a dating show.
Yeah.
They all go to this house, but then the kids were put in another house. They were surprised. And then the kids interacted with their parents as they were dating. And it was really it was really, again, as I talked about with the other show, was like seeing people in their like 40s and 50s dating. Like there's no bullshit. There's like, we're in it or we're not in it. Like that was great. And seeing the kids interact was also really good. This is a great show.
Yeah. But then also the kids like sacrificed a lot to like actually help their parents like find love. All around, it was a very positive show, and I've definitely watched many episodes of that season.
I've seen the whole season. It's very good. Highly recommended. So I have a feeling I know what at least 3 of these top shows are.
Yeah, same.
We can just claim it now. Taskmaster, it's a goat.
Taskmaster.
Seen like, I don't know, hundreds of episodes of Taskmaster at this point. It's amazing.
So I honestly
I was watching it this week with Anshul.
Yeah, we've spread this throughout a lot of our friend group. And then this has also been spreading around the world. And okay, so I also partially want to dive into the top of the top because the challenge is like one of our like top go-to shows.
We will. I just don't know. Noah, is this your top show?
It is not. I have a different show.
Yeah. Brian,
All right.
you're getting ahead of yourself.
Well, I know you guys all like it. I think it's a fine show. I'm just not as bored.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But if you have not watched Taskmaster, they take 5 comedians or like just funny people. They give them tasks to do, ludicrous tasks like eat watermelon the fastest or like make the best movie but filmed backwards or like viewed backwards. And it's just like the ingenuity and the funness and the vibe is so cool. It's a UK show. It's all on YouTube. Highly recommended. Now, Noah, what is your top show?
Yes. My top show, Next Level Chef.
Good choice. This is my number 3.
Anyone else?
Nope.
Yeah, so I like cooking shows to begin with. I think this was actually pretty clever how they do the whole elevator thing, and you get to grab the ingredients and all that jazz. So yeah, I just think it's a solid show compared to what we have the rest of the season. So yeah, Next Level Chef going to top.
There you go. That's our top 5 of the season. We have one unanimous top 3rd show, and that was Dr. Pimple Popper. It was just me and Brian, so not sure how much that really counts. But the fact that me and Brian had multiple other shows where it was just the 2 of us, and that's the only one. Like, it's a top
fair.
3rd.
I will say I do enjoy like the pimple popping TikToks. I didn't do that episode with y'all, but I think if I did, it could have snuck in there.
It's pretty good. I did like that show. I agree with Brian. So now let's talk about the winner of the season is obviously Taskmaster. So that's our number 1 show for season 6.
What? It's not Hard Knocks?
So here is the top shows for each season. So season 1 was Married at First Sight. Season 2 was The Challenge. Season 3, Jersey Shore Family Vacation. Season 4, Shark Tank. And season 5, Indian Matchmaking. And now season 6, Taskmaster. Now,
wow, some great entries there.
So our current top of the top is The Challenge. So now we have to figure out, is Taskmaster above The Challenge or not? That's the question.
I want to make a case for Taskmaster being the top. So both series have actually been expanding very rapidly recently. So The Challenge was like doing its own thing on MTV for a long time, but very recently they've actually started expanding into like different realms. So like they're doing like different countries. They're having like a lot of spinoffs on Paramount Plus. So they've expanded. They're definitely the world's top sport now. But Taskmaster has been growing even faster
The
than
world's
that.
5th sport.
Yes. Taskmaster's been growing even faster. They've been growing worldwide, like different countries. So you have New Zealand, I want to say Norway, Finland, and almost all of them are very, very funny. They're getting a lot of exposure to lesser known celebrities. So I think that like Taskmaster is just going to like rapidly climb versus like The Challenge, which is kind of fought hard to retain like its good pace. Like we've always started a season and said, oh yeah, it's okay. And then like we watch the finale, we begrudgingly keep with it, even though like some mechanic makes it bad or like some of the people make it bad. Taskmaster, even if it has like a bad season, it's usually kind of funny at some points.
I mean, I don't think you have to make an argument for me. I think The Challenge, like I'll watch because you guys watch it, but overall there's like, you know, episodes where they don't have a challenge, like a team event and a challenge, and like there's like weird drama and it's like 90 minutes and you're just like, ugh. Whereas Taskmaster, you know, not every season's amazing, but some of the seasons are amazing and they're so good and you're like, I'm always looking forward to it, and I think Taskmaster beats the challenge hands down. But that's just me. So we got 2 votes challenge. What do you guys think, Noah, Max? Noah, what do you got?
Wait, did you say 2 votes challenge or 2 votes
Taskmaster. That's what I meant.
test?
I don't know what I
Which one?
said, but I meant Taskmaster.
I would say I'm really torn. And also, like, our previous votes for Taskmaster were probably weighed by people who've been busy for this season of the podcast.
No, yeah, I was gonna say the people that really love the challenge aren't here, so the
Yeah.
challenge is like definitely down a couple votes that it would normally have.
And that's why it's going to be Taskmaster. Suck it.
Yeah, same. Like, I never really liked the challenge. I know a lot of people do. It's just not for me. I think Shark Tank is better. I'm a Shark
You can throw in.
You can vote
You
for
can
whatever
throw in a
you
vote
want.
for Shark Tank.
Yeah, I am a Shark Tanker for life. Like, I watch every episode. So for
Shark
me,
Tank
that's
is
an easy
good.
win. Yeah.
He buys every product.
he's on those TikToks. He's got a TikTok about buying stuff from Shark Tank, repping the Shark Tank.
You ever sucked a mosquito with a little plastic tube?
No.
That shit does not work. We tried it.
Yeah. Oh, the plastic tube works. The thingy. It's called the thingy.
It's called the thingy. You
Okay.
Google the thingy, you'll find it.
But the
It
Scrubby
is.
Daddy was pretty good.
The Scrub Daddy's good. The Bantam Bagels are pretty good. The car seat thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Bantam and Scrub Daddy. Good,
All
good
right.
products.
So let's move on. Taskmaster is now the champion. And even if
Huge news.
the 2 people that we know would vote for the challenge still be Taskmaster. So calm down, everyone. We know everyone loves the challenge, but sometimes we got to move on. We find better shows. Even if it is episode 1 of season 6, it is now the champion of season 6. Pew, pew. So we'll talk about a couple other things we hear. So we have our stank ranks. So we have our top, middle, bottom, third. So we have the actual percentages of people that put things in their top. So I put 28% of my shows in the top third, which is pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
You get real close. Then Brian has 25%. Not bad. You're good. But Max,
Yeah.
14%.
I'm just a picky guy, okay?
5 of 35. And then Noah, also 15%.
Yeah.
5 of 33.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry. Our Jewish parents never told us never lower your standards.
No.
so some other interesting facts that Rob brought up was you guys were on 23 pods together and you never had both give a top third. So like the 2 of you were never on podcasts where you gave a top third together. I mean, that's kind of shown by how many unanimous top thirds we had this season, which probably is at all-time low with 1. And it was only 2 people. So,
We watched a lot of garbage this season.
we did.
It's been a stinker of a season.
I had a much easier time doing the top 5. It was like immediate. I could even like recall it without looking at the list. And then the bottom 5 was like, oh man, how do I pick this?
Yeah, the 12 unanimous bottom thirds that's a rough season. But apparently this was not the worst ranking ever because Max last year for season 5 had 2 out of 39. So
Pretty good.
and apparently Noah 2 of the last 3 pods you were on were top third. So you really you loaded it in the back.
Finishing strong.
So I asked Rob to give out some memorable moments on the memorable podcasts. So I'll just read them out, or we could talk about them. But so if you want like podcasts to go listen to after this one, these are the ones you should probably listen to. He said the hate and almost complete confusion about Alter Ego, which I've already talked about. Love Trap is memorable, but maybe more for the TikTok, as we talked about that. Judge Steve Harvey was a great hate fest, which we've already talked about how bad that show was. He remembered our positive reaction to the D'Amelio show, which is probably just a reaction to, I can't believe we had a positive reaction to that show than anything. The Is It Cake cheating controversy, which we already talked about. Really good job being able to visualize the next level chef, what was going on. So I think that was a particularly good episode. And Wizard
Has
of
he been keeping track of this all season?
No, he was just off his top of his head. He said, and
Oh,
Wizard of
damn.
Paws had some great one-liners. So that was an episode we didn't really talk about. Was Wizard of Paws, which was our only pet-based show I think we did.
It's a strictly middle of the pack show.
Yeah.
But
All right, so then he's got some questions that we could go over. I think it'd be fun. Would this be better as a Quibi, guys? Do you think our season finale would be better as a Quibi?
Yeah.
I think we could chop this down to a TikTok.
Yeah.
We
Definitely.
might
I
explore that
guess
next season.
I guess he's mostly talking about the podcast in general. Would the show be better? Would their podcast be better as a Quibi? I'm sure we could get a version of our podcast down to like 7-8 minutes or whatever Quibbies were. But I'm not sure it would be worth like your 7-8 minutes time versus our 50 minutes time frame to really get into the meat of it, you know?
Right, but
The meat's the good stuff.
You get teaser. I think like a 2-minute version of the podcast or minute version of the podcast is more worthwhile than a 7-8 minute version of the podcast, right?
Yeah.
In my mind.
Mhm.
What are the drinking rules while you listen to the podcast? I mean,
Every time they take a drink, you take a drink.
Every time Chris reveals his like later vote for his rating at the beginning, you have to finish your drink.
every time I say if it's going to be good or bad, yeah, it's good.
Every time a bet is made, you form a blood pact with your favorite host, and you have to take a shot.
Blood
in
pact?
It's a
solidarity.
blood pact. What is a blood pact, Max? Do you have to find us and
So-
like shake blood?
So no,
against each other?
you slash your thumb, you slash their thumb.
Yeah,
you
so
mix the
they have
blood
to come find
together.
us? Is that what you're talking?
Yeah, yeah, blood pact.
I think you should drink for every quip you hear in the beginning of the podcast. Really just start yourself off with a couple drinks. I think that's good. Anytime, the classic for if you're listening to a podcast, anytime anyone says like, or what, or you hear like a really long silence because we're like,
I thought you said that like we weren't trying to get our viewers drunk.
I never said that.
You say that to me all the time. Why are you trying to get everybody drunk?
Yeah, well, they're listening to the podcast. They should be getting drunk.
Yeah.
Every time there's a universal top third, take a shot, and every time there's a universal bottom third, also take a shot.
I like it.
How about you shotgun if there's universal top?
Sure.
I think if you've seen the show and anyone agrees with you, take a drink for your like top, middle, bottom. That seems pretty good. I'm sure there's more if you listen to the podcast and you can like come up with things that we do that I don't listen to every podcast.
There's a big one missing. It's very appropriate for me, so I'm sure you guys are getting it now. Every time we go to the corner, take a drink.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one.
We've been missing the internet corner.
It's true. We have been.
I know, sorry. I've been needing to put my skills towards other talents.
You got a pretty good alibi there.
Yeah.
I can't speak. It's
taking your
the bad
talent to South,
alibis.
baby.
This is a very important question. Who's going to hook up next? And why is that Max and Noah?
I was going to say me and my wife.
Yep.
All right, there you go. That's the answers you got for us. Is this the apex for the host, the Chris Lorenz?
I think this is the natter, the very bottom.
The bottom.
This is the bottom of the bottom.
It's fair.
I think it's the apex.
Nowhere to go but up.
I mean, we got some listeners. Like we're actually doing some stuff. I think it's the apex.
Yeah. There you go. And what do you
I
love?
don't know. I think Chris, your best days are always to come. So keep on keeping.
Well,
on.
the apex just
apex is
means
now.
to now. It doesn't mean in the future.
Then yeah, it is.
I always thought it to mean like future included.
No. We can't predict the future.
You can't
Like
predict the future.
who are we? Darren Brown?
I thought no. I'm at Max. Like It's like, are they at the top of the mountain right now? Right?
Will they ever go up from here? No, never.
Yeah.
That's not.
Oh.
What do you know? No,
Whoa,
when we
whoa,
say the
whoa.
apex, we're talking about now and in the past. We don't know if they're going to be in the next like Avatar 2 or 5 or 10. We don't know what
Whoa,
movies they're going to be
Chris.
in.
I'm going to go back and listen to every podcast and prove that you thought differently.
I'm
That's
with
not
Max.
true.
Like, I can't believe we thought such things about this.
Well, no one has ever said, "Oh, the apex for this guy's in the future." No one has ever said that.
Right.
You just
Why would we
assumed.
assume you were thinking about the future?
Because
No,
apex is like
no.
a mountain term, right? They're the apex of the mountain, which means
Yeah, but it's all about
either
like
side of it goes down.
no one can predict the future. Why would we assume you could? We're talking about the future.
Like,
I don't know about you. I can predict the future.
Yes. Yeah.
what am I
Alright.
thinking right now?
Boy, I could really go for a pear croissant.
All right, so
Actually,
we'll
I could.
end with what do you love about the show?
Me.
I love coming in, hanging out with you guys, and
Yeah.
making fun of shows. Forget if shows are good or bad. I think that's really fun to do. I love doing it every week. So that's what I love.
It's a nice way to keep in touch with you guys.
So that's Max answered. Brian, what do you love about the show?
I love learning a lot about the reality TV show universe because there's so much out there. There is so much garbage being generated. Like, we have looked at so many different networks to figure out what show to watch every week, and we will never catch up with it
Never.
if we're only doing one a week.
Ever. I don't. I think you'd
Yeah.
have to do. You'd have to do them as they come out. Like,
Yeah,
then you never get caught up on your backlog.
but we're still seeing improvements, and it's kind of cool to see how the reality TV show universe changes.
Noah, do you have what do you love about the show?
Yeah, I think just getting to hang out. You know, it's get to watch bad TV sometimes good TV, and just talk about it. It's not bad, and hopefully, you know, there's sometimes people out there who get a kick out of it, and hopefully they tweeted us.
Yeah, tweet at us at Who Put This On. I think that's it for our discussion of top 5 and bottom 5. I'm sure we went too long again, but that's our MO. And you can tweet at us at Who Put This On. You can find us on Facebook.com/Who Put This On. You can email us questions and suggestions at whoputthison@gmail.com. You can find us on TikTok for our great TikToks at Who Put This On podcast. And we'll see you guys for season 7 next time.